Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo, and welcome to my scrapbook table. Today I am doing a layout about the many road trips we have taken back to our hometown over the last 19 years, and I'm using this 49 and Market collection, Rust and Revs, to document these photos. Some of these photos are mine, some I captured from the internet, and I'm going to show you the papers here. I love the colors, and I like the metal type backgrounds from here. I like the plaid there, and then I love this paper right here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. This is denim. I don't see myself using that, but I did change my mind partway through this and use some of it. I like the map. There's some good sayings there. And there's some more denim. I really love that red color there. And this one. So there are lots I do like. I find it hard to use papers that already have like a scene on them, like the one you see here that I'm going to use. But I got some inspiration from MK Gunn, and I will link to her specific video below. And during the video, I'll talk about what I did. Basically, I deconstructed the paper, the scene. I cut this into five pieces. And then I roughed up edges and put it back together. I used my edge distressing tool, and some I just used my fingers because I needed to get in somewhere a little small. But I like what that did for the paper. It added texture, it added some dimension, and I just felt better about how it worked with what I was trying to achieve here. So here I am. I first cut off the wood strips from the top and the bottom. They look like wood grain in the scene. Then you'll see that I cut off the pieces that look like maps. And now I just have some ivory colored cardstock here. And I decided to give my brayer a shot. I believe I see Helen Ding and Sarah Davies using a brayer. I have never done that before, so I thought I'm just going to try it and see what happens. I didn't want even coverage. I just wanted to add some color to the edges of the 12 by 12 cardstock, because I knew when I was cutting the 12 by 12 scene apart and layering it back together, I would lose some of the length of the paper. So I trimmed just a tiny bit off the sides as well and made a small border around it. And I cut right through this cactus here, and I'm debating about what to do with the little road sign on the side. And you'll see that I just end up trimming around it, and it's fine. And here I go again using my edge distressor from Some Assemblage Required to rough up the edges. So when I deconstructed this and put it back together, I really like how it turned out. I like that my page now has some depth and texture to it, and it just feels more like me. And it took me a while to get it back on here correctly. One piece I did turn over and glue on wrong, but in the end it doesn't matter because I covered up the little gap. You can see the gap that's right there. It won't matter. A photo is going to go there. And there are cacti in this collection. I have no use for cacti in my scrapbooking. The only photos I have that involve a cactus were taken in California, Southern California in 2005, and I scrapbooked those long ago. I'll tuck them away or I'll give them to someone. It's fine. And I don't know that I will use all the garagey type things because I don't do a lot with that, but I do have a couple layouts in mind. And a lot of the papers and things can be used for other topics, like the map I can use for any sort of travel. The ones that look like metal flashing I can use on all sorts of things. So I cut two strips of the paper that you see on the far left there, and they just are like road signs with route numbers on them. So I cut some strips. I'm covering up some gaps or areas that just I felt like needed something to feel more complete. And plus it added a little bit more layering to my layout. So we live in Northeast Ohio. We moved here 19 years ago next month. And it was only going to be for a few years. We were thinking we would end up in North Carolina, but 19 years later, here we still are. And it's snowing today. But our hometown is about 2.5 hours away in Pennsylvania. And this is documenting our usual stops along the way. There's a Sheetz gas station, which if you're from the Northeast, you probably maybe have heard of Sheetz. I don't know. My husband loves their coffee. So we usually stop there at Salt Springs Road on Interstate 80. And sometimes then we need the bathroom in Emlenton. So we stop there where there's a restroom. And then we no longer have immediate family that we can stay with in our hometown. So we have been staying at this little inn called the Inn at Narrows Creek. So I have a picture of the sign there. And if at all possible, when we visit our hometown, we eat at our favorite family-owned restaurant called Luigi's. We've been eating there since, at one of their locations, they have two, since before I was even pregnant with our first baby. And she's now 31. So we have been enjoying Luigi's for a long, long time. If you're ever traveling on Interstate 80 in West Central Pennsylvania and you're passing exit 101 or 97 and you need some lunch or dinner, stop at Luigi's if it's not Sunday or Monday, because it is well worth the stop. So here I just added some lyrics from a country song, Where I Was Born, Where I Was Raised, Where I Keep All My Yesterdays. I'm pretty sure that's by Montgomery Gentry, but I have to double check that before I write it in. But I will jot down who wrote the song. I did quite a bit of journaling because I had a story to tell, not about just this trip, but about our trips back there in general. So you can see that I used some little tile letters on the smaller page, the 6x12. It says road trip. And now I'm going to add my hometown on the right. And I use these yellow gold letters because there's some of that in the road signs and things scattered about the page. And I started putting them right down on the background. And after I got partway done, I realized these are not showing up. There's just not enough contrast. So what I did, remember that denim paper that I said I doubted I would ever use? Well, I had to eat my words because I pulled it out. I cut a strip of it just over an inch high, and I adhered the yellow letters on top of that, and they show up really nicely. So I'm happy that, there we go, I'm showing you what I did, and there's my title now. I had to Frankenstein the T. I made it from, I think an L and a J. But that worked. Now I'm pulling out these bits and pieces. There's lots of titles in here. Things like brave, adventure, handsome, that sort of thing. I like the window frame kind of things, but they just weren't what I needed on here. So I pulled out some road signs. I'm going to put 3 of those on. Then I find these look like pieces of leather. That 80 I used because we are on Interstate 80. And now I'm gluing down some of the pieces. I think it looks like a license plate. I cut it in half. I put some here and some in a lower cluster down by the truck. I wish I had a photograph of my uncle. 2 of my uncles had a garage. They worked on cars, and sometimes on Saturday morning my dad would take me there and he would visit with his brothers. and they would give me a quarter to get a pop out of the old pop cooler. They were glass bottles and they had like a bottle opener on the side. I would love to have a picture of that old place because this collection would be perfect to tell that story. Maybe one of my cousins might have something. I should check with them. So here's the main thing that is not from 49 and Market Rest and Revs. These are some gears from Some Assemblage Required, and I will have a link to those. I don't know that she still has these particular gears, but she often has that sort of thing on her website. So we're coming to the end. I moved the Interstate 80 sign down, but this is pretty much how it ends up. Here are the still shots. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking time to watch my videos, and I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. I hope you get to scrapbook something soon in your own space. Have a great day. Bye.